welcome to the crochet. Today I'll be going through how to create 4 different types of Pokeballs. These are the materials that you need. So the way we want to tackle any 2D pictures and translate that into a crochet pattern is that we want to break down this 2D picture into basic shapes that we can crochet separately, and then we will combine it all together again to form the figure that we want in the end. So the way that we approach this for the Pokeball is that we look at the Pokeball and analyze the basic shapes that form this Pokeball. So we can see that the Pokeball is actually formed with a basic sphere at the back, where there is a color of red on top, there is a middle band of black, and the bottom half is actually white. So the center button is actually formed with a 2D white circle with a black outline. So with that in mind, we can begin crocheting the Pokeball. So I have created a tutorial on how to create a perfect sphere. So the formula that I'm using today is actually the same one, just that I'll be going through how to use color change and understand the ratios to achieve the Pokeball that you want. So I've done my magic ring. So just keep increasing 6 stitches for every round until you achieve the diameter that you want. So for today, I think I will make a miniature Pokeball that can fit within your palm. So I've done 5 rounds of increased rows, and I think this is a good diameter to make a miniature Pokeball. So this Pokeball can be made like a keychain size. So now, since I have finished my 5 increased rows, I'll proceed to the mid section, which is actually 5 more single crochet rows all around. But because there is a color change for this, I'll be doing my color change right in the center of the 5 single crochet rounds. So on the 3rd single crochet round, I will use the black, and on the 4th, I will start with my white. So I have done 2 single crochet rows now, and it is time to fasten off the red yarn and do a color change. So I will just snip off the yarn tail and weave in this tail, skip the first stitch, go to the next stitch, insert under the V, pull the yarn through, and put a needle through the center of the V. So by doing this weaving, we can ensure that there is no jagged edges, even though we have been crocheting in spirals instead. So it will be circular all around. And now we are done crocheting for the red portion of the Pokeball. So next, I will do a standing stitch with the black yarn. So just do a slip knot, insert your hook into the slip knot and tighten. So with this slip knot on the hook, just create a single crochet on any stitch on the red portion and do a single crochet in each stitch for this whole round. So we have reached the end of the black round. Insert your needle in to weave in this yarn tail as well under the V and into the V of the previous stitch. This will ensure that there is no gap in between or jagged edges when you are doing a color change when working in spirals. So this is what it will look like after the black round is done. So now we'll proceed to change the color using the white yarn. Similarly, just do the standing stitch, create a slip knot, insert your hook, tighten, and insert the hook into any stitch on the black round. So it is preferable that you do not use the same first stitch as the previous round to ensure that there is a more seamless look in the overall sphere. So I will do the same thing for the white yarn and do a single crochet all around. So this time we will have 2 single crochet rows all around with the white yarn, and we will proceed to the decreased rows. So now we have reached the end of the mid section over here, where we already have 5 single crochet rows. So now we'll be beginning our decreased rows. So for the 5 decreased rounds, we will decrease in decreasing multiples. So for the first decreased round is a multiple of 5, since we have 5 increased rows at the start. And for the second decreased round, it'll be in multiples of 4, third one in multiples of 3, and the next one in multiples of 2, and fasten off. So I won't go through this portion. I will just fast forward all the way to the last round. So now I've reached the end. I'll just cut off the end over here and pull through. And remove the stitch marker over here and begin to weave in the 6 stitches. So take this tail over here, insert it into your needle, and remember to only use the outer loop, so the front loops only of the beads, and weave in through all the 6 stitches, and insert your yarn through the center and pull tight. So squish your ball around a bit to get the circular shape that you want, and snip off the end here. So now you can see that you can get a nice Pokeball foundation over here, where you have the top, which is a red cylinder, then the color change over here with the standing stitch, then the white color change as well with the standing stitch. So the base of this pattern is still the formula for creating a perfect sphere, but with color changes. So by using the weaving in and standing stitch method, you can see that the color change is continuous, and you cannot see the jagged edge that is formed when you are doing a color change in a spiral. So you can repeat this same formula to create the base for other types of Pokeballs. So to create the center button over here, it's actually a 2D circle. So it is a white center and a black outline. So we know how to create a 2D circle. To create a small 2D circle, we just have to do 6 single crochets in a magic ring. So this is a tiny circle that we want to put it over here. We need a black outline now. So before we do that, just snip off the end over here, weave in, and you have a nice circle over here. So to create the black border, take the black yarn, create a standing stitch, and I think I will use slip stitches. So I will use slip stitches to make the border as thin as possible. So I'll put 2 slip stitches into each stitch, and we have reached the end of the round. So just snip the yarn, pull through, and weave in this last stitch over here. Yeah, so it will look something like this. Just pin it in place and begin the sewing all around. We'll go through the post over here, and I will take the outer loop, go through the single crochet post. So now I'm happy with it. I will just make a knot over here and insert my hook into the center and stab it. So just pull it out anywhere. All this loose yarn as well. So there you have it, a Pokeball. So all this requires is how to make a sphere. You can just learn how to do the color change in a spiral, but without showing the jagged edges, and change back to white again. And this is just a simple 2D circle with a 6 magic ring and slip stitch as a border for this button over here. So you can follow this pattern for the other Pokeballs as well, and I will go ahead to do the foundation ball for each of the Pokeballs. So now I have completed the basic shapes based on this Pokeball using different colors. This is the base for Masterball, this is the base for Greatball, and this is the base for Ultraball. So now to differentiate all of these, we need to make the details on it. So for the Greatball, you need the 2 red stripes over here, and to do that, I will just create a slip knot and work in rows. So I did 10 chains, and I think this is a good length for the red stripe over here. So I just do another row of single crochets. So I'll put a stitch marker to make sure it doesn't move around, and I'll just see if the length is okay. It looks good. So chain 10 and a single crochet 1 row above. So I'll just repeat this. So just make sure that these two are the same length. So I'll grab some of my embroidery needles over here and put this in place for sewing. So make sure that the right side of the roll up, pin your red stripe in place. Make sure that it is centered before you begin sewing. So it looks good like this. So I think I will just sew this down this way. So you will end up with something like this. So for the next one, I'll be doing the Masterball. So for the Masterball, it's actually 2 pink circles over here. So I will just use the pink yarn over here that I have to create 2 2D circles. So I will do a slip knot over here and do 6 single crochets in this magic ring. And with this basic 2D circle that I've created, I will compare this with the basic ball that I've created for the Masterball and check the proportions whether this is the size that I want. So I think I want the circle to be slightly larger. So I will do another round, increasing in multiples of 2. So it looks something like this. And I will do a comparison again. And I think yes, this is the size that I want for the Masterball circles. We'll just skip the first stitch, insert under the second, pull, and insert it back into the center of the V. We'll just pull it around a bit. Now you'll have a perfect circle. So I'll just attach it here to get an idea where I want the circle to be. This looks good, so I'll just make another circle, and there you have it. Perfect circle. So this looks good, and I will do the sewing here. There you have it, the Masterball. Quick and simple. So for the next one, I'll be doing the Ultraball. So for the Ultraball, it is a yellow H over here. So I think I will just work in rows to create this row and this row. If you want to minimize sewing, which I probably am going to do, I am going to create a row over here and increase here upwards, and here upwards, and here downwards. That way I wouldn't have to do the sewing at the junctions of H. So at this point of time, I realized that my lazy method wasn't working too well. The wrong side of the rows are showing, and it seems like the holes are bigger because of that, and it just doesn't look that great. So since I am such a perfectionist, I have decided to just redo this H again with the non-lazy method. So I will create rows of single crochet for each side of the H, 2 vertical chains with single crochet on the left and the right side, and a horizontal row in the center with a chain and a single row of single crochet as well. And I will sew all this together on the top of the Ultraball in the end. So this is the second attempt at doing the H. So I have done 14 chains, and I am doing a single crochet to the end. So this will form the vertical part of the H, So since I already figured out that 14 chains is a good number from the previous attempt, at least I can use that knowledge for this second attempt over here. So I have 14 chains over here, and this should fit nicely. Some people use sewing pins to fix their work in place, but I just use what I have. Sometimes I use stitch markers as well, but it's less effective because it's more difficult to take out and change the position accordingly. And I'll do the chain. So just now my estimate was about chain 10 if I minus 2 stitches from each side, but it might be shorter now that I look at it. So I did 8 chains. Let me check whether it works. Yeah, I think 8 chain is enough. So I'll chain 1 and turn. Let's quickly check whether this is really the length that you want. And yes, I think this is about right. So I think this is it. I will sew this down. And come back later. So now I am done with the sewing of the H, and the Ultraball looks something like this. So as compared to the other H that I've done, you can see that there is a lot of holes when working in rows. This was definitely a better call to just separate out the stripes individually and make them separately and sew it on, even though it is more work because there is more sewing involved. So the Ultraball looks like this. So there you have it, the 4 Pokeballs. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more crochet videos. Bye bye!